So, Emily in Paris has just reached the end of Season 4, with Part 2 recently concluding. With an ending that took Emily across to a different part of Europe, and it seeming like she was going to be embarking on a new life with a brand new love interest, it really does shake the story of the show on its head. With this season focusing on love and a career, and how the balance between the both of them can be found, and Gabrielle also coming to the realization that he was being too harsh on pushing Emily out of his life, Season 5 has the potential to be the most eventful and damaging to the main characters. So with that, I thought I'd take a look at everything that was out there, along with giving my theories and predictions on what I think could happen when the show returns. So let's get into it. Here is Emily in Paris Season 5, Everything We Know. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The story. The story in Season 5 of Emily in Paris is something that has the potential to be the most interesting one that we've seen so far. Emily ended up getting an apartment in Rome during the conclusion of Season 4 Part 2, and Sylvie planned on opening up an office for Agent Gratteau there with Emily running it. This was obviously something that was good for Emily because it gave her a reason to actually stay with Marcello, and it meant that the spark that she had with him didn't need to be over a long distance. One key thing that I think is going to be crucial to the story is the 6-month period that the firm is going to be working with Marcello's company for. It was mentioned that Agents Gratteau are on a 6-month trial with them, so I think this trial period could be the window of time that the season's going to be set in. The whole purpose of Season 4 Part 2 was to have Emily looking for some kind of work-life balance in her life, and hoping to get satisfaction out of her job role, but also in romance as well. Something that she never really had with Gabrielle, but she did eventually find it with Marcello. With Gabrielle going to Mindy at the end of the season and looking to find the exact location of where Emily was staying in Italy, I think we're going to be seeing him venturing there with the intention of trying to win her back. However, he obviously made the decision to push her further out of his life, something which she wasn't really happy with at the time, so I think we'll also see him living to regret that decision that he made. I think he will find her, but I don't think she's going to fall back into his arms like he thinks, as she's got a level of happiness with Marcello that she's not actually had before. And also, let's remember, they've been together for more than an episode, which kind of shows that they're more compatible than Emily and Gabrielle, as they didn't even last an entire episode this time round. I do still think that the two of them together will be how the show truly ends, because it feels like Emily and Gabrielle were just made for each other. The showrunner said that the story of Season 5 is going to be set in Italy, and Emily will have a strong presence there, but it doesn't mean that she won't be in Paris. So I imagine we're probably going to be seeing her drifting between the two cities and countries several times. Emily has always had this thing about her life being like a vacation, so maybe when she returns to Paris she'll realise that maybe that's where she's more at home, and she'll seek comfort in Gabrielle, and that's where they might end up rekindling the spark that they both put out in Season 4 Part 2. I wonder if whilst Emily is in Rome, Jen is going to be looking to pretty much take over what Emily was doing in the office and try to mirror her life. Kind of like what she was doing in the 5 episodes that she featured in during Season 4 Part 2. That actually wouldn't surprise me. She seems like a bit of a snake and somebody that schemes, so maybe she's going to have a plan to tarnish Emily's name. With regards to Mindy, we saw that she was heading off to Asia due to the fact that a video of her singing in the streets of Rome went viral, and she was going to be performing on a talent show that was being televised out there. So I wonder if this is going to give Mindy some kind of big break. We saw that herself and Nico broke up because he wasn't being supportive of her and was almost ashamed of what she was doing. I think she's going to have moved on from him, but with her potentially being a viral sensation and this potentially kickstarting her career, I wonder if Nico is going to go crawling back to her with the hopes of getting back together. Personally, I'm hoping that Mindy and Benoit will have some kind of romantic connection in this new season. They teased it a lot in Season 4, but it didn't actually amount to anything. But surely this time something will happen, right? As you can see, there are a few different directions that Season 5 of Emily in Paris could go in, but regardless of the direction, it feels like whichever one it goes in, it's going to have drama, heartbreak, romance, and drastic changes around every corner, which is what I think we want to hear. The release date. In terms of the release date for the show, the first thing about Season 5 is that as of today, it's just been announced that Emily in Paris is most definitely going to be returning for its 5th installment, as Netflix just renewed it. And it doesn't seem like the show is going to be slowing down or approaching its end, as it's not been billed as the final season or even the beginning of the conclusion. The showrunner said how the world of Emily in Paris feels like it's forever expanding, and it's hard to put endings on shows. With the world feeling like it's not got barriers around it, he feels like there's so much more story to tell, and that the creative spark of the show is still there. That's something that's most definitely interesting when it comes to the renewal of the show. I say this because after Season 4 Part 2, I felt like, and I also feel like some other viewers, thought that that season almost felt like the same thing just happening to Emily over and over again, and that maybe in the next season it would be time for the show to meet its end. However, the showrunner and creators clearly have a different perspective on that whole thing. So the main thing to take away from the most recent news is that Season 5 is definitely going to be going ahead. When it comes to the actual release date of the season, that hasn't actually been confirmed yet, but the best way to determine when it will be is by looking back at the previous seasons. Traditionally, it's always been around a year between the seasons of the show. However, between Season 3 and Season 4, it took its longest break to date, which was 20 months. I wonder if that's going to be the case this time as well, with them not only shooting in one specific location anymore and them potentially being split between Rome and Paris. I wonder if that will just naturally mean that they're going to be taking more time with the filming, which will ultimately bring the show out later. I'm probably going to predict that we'll get the new season in about a year or a year and a half. I also imagine that the show is going to be released in 2 parts again, 5 episodes in part 1 and then 5 in part 2, as that seems to be the formula that Netflix likes to follow these days, even if the viewers don't really like it. The characters. With regards to the characters, there's not actually been that many changes over the years, especially in the most recent seasons. So I would predict that the cast and characters that they portray will probably stay the same. So we'll see the likes of Emily, Marcello, Gabrielle, Sylvie, Luke, Julien, Mindy, Nico, Benoit, Gabrielle, and new feature Jen all most probably returning. I question if we'll actually see Camille again, because it seemed like she moved away so that she could adopt a child, and she didn't actually tell anybody where she was moving to. So I do wonder if that's the writer's way of getting her written out of the show, because she's pretty much going to be embarking on a completely new life, one which won't really coincide with Emily or Gabrielle. In terms of new characters, I imagine there's probably going to be some kind of replacement for Emily at Agents Grateau, and I feel there'll probably be a wide array of characters that join the office in Rome that Sylvie planned on opening. Let's remember as well, Mindy was going off to Asia at the end of the season, so depending on if we're going to be following her out there, we may see some characters that she meets along the way. So whilst there are going to be many familiar faces in Season 5, I also feel we're going to be seeing some new ones getting introduced too, which is good because it keeps the show fresh. Unfortunately for now, that's all that's known about Emily in Paris Season 5. I'm sure more information will be released as we eventually get closer to the release date. But for now, we can just rewatch and theorize about what's going to happen between Emily, Gabrielle, Marcello, and if there's going to be disruption between them all. So, there you have it. Emily in Paris Season 5, everything we know. If you want to see a full breakdown of Emily in Paris Season 4 Part 1 or Part 2, then click on the card in the top corner. Both videos should be up there. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find more videos on your favourite TV shows and movies broken down. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What do you think will happen next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.